Okay, so I want you to think about someone for a second. His name is Marcus. And 2 years ago, right, Marcus was doing pretty well for himself. Small marketing agency, working from home, 8 clients, a little team of 3 people. He was pulling in about 80 grand a year. Like, not life-changing money, but good, solid. He was proud of it. So he thought, okay, let's push. Let's actually go for it. He ran some ads, put himself out there. And within 6 months, he'd landed 20 new clients. 20? That's massive, right? More clients, bigger team, more money coming in. But then, and this is the bit that gets people, by the end of the year, Marcus was working 16-hour days. His team kept dropping the ball. Clients were complaining. And when he actually sat down and looked at his bank account properly, he had made less money than the year before. More clients, more stress, more chaos, less money. And if you're sitting there going, wait, that sounds familiar. Or if you're building something right now and you're terrified of that happening to you, then honestly, stay with me. Because today, we're going to talk about exactly why that happens and what you actually do to fix it. All right, so first thing, and honestly, this is the thing that trips up almost everybody. So pay attention here. There is a difference between growing your business and scaling your business. And I know people use those words like they mean the same thing all the time. Even people who've been in business for years, but they don't mean the same thing, not even close. So let me break it down in the simplest way I can. Imagine you've got a lemonade stand. You're doing well, making 50 cups a day. People love it. You're turning a nice little profit. Then one day someone comes up and goes, hey, can you do 500 cups tomorrow? Big order, exciting. Now, if you go to hit that order, what do? You hire 9 more people. You set up 9 more stands. You buy 9 times the lemons. You get to 500 cups, but it costs you 9 times as much to do it. Your profit per cup, basically the same, maybe even less once you factor in all the extra hassle. But if you scale, you go out and you buy a machine. Machine, one person operating it, and suddenly you're making 500 cups without 9 times the cost. Your profit per cup shoots up. That's the difference. And it's everything. Growing means your costs keep up with your revenue. Scaling means your revenue runs ahead and your costs kind of stay put. And here's the thing. 90% of business owners, when they decide to scale, they're actually just growing. They take on more clients, they hire more people, they buy more stuff, and they end up with a bigger, messier, more expensive version of the exact same problem they already had. So why does that keep happening? Let's get into it. Okay, so meet Sarah. Sarah runs an online coaching business, and she is good, like genuinely good at what she does. Her clients love her. And whenever anything goes wrong, a weird payment issue, a client who's confused, some tech thing breaking at the worst possible time, Sarah sorts it every single time. Quick, efficient, done. Sarah is the hero of her business. And for a long time, that was fine. That was actually what made her successful. But then Sarah decides she wants to grow. She brings on 2 assistants to help her. And here's what happens. The assistants don't know how Sarah likes things done. They don't know what to say to a client who's been difficult. They're not sure about the refund policy. They don't know where half the files are. So every few minutes, Sarah, what do I do with this? Sarah, how do I handle that? Sarah, where does this go? And Sarah, who is busy, who is stressed, who just wants things done properly, she just does it herself. Because honestly, it's faster. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. This is called the hero trap. And it is, hand on heart, the single biggest reason businesses can't scale. See, in the early days, being the hero is literally what keeps you alive. You do everything yourself, you figure it out on the fly, you save the day constantly, and that's great. But when you try to build a team around you, that same habit, that instinct to just jump in and fix everything yourself becomes a thing that suffocates your growth. Because if your business only works when you're personally involved in every decision, every task, every problem, you don't have a business. You've got a very stressful, very expensive job, and you can't scale a job. Here's the uncomfortable bit though. Most founders, and I mean most, are running their whole operation on knowledge that only exists inside their own heads. How to talk to certain clients, how to handle a refund, what the actual process is for delivering the work. None of it is written down anywhere. It's just in there, in your head. And when your team doesn't have that information, they can't move without you every single day. So to actually scale, you have to stop being the hero. I know that's hard to hear, but you have to become the coach the person who builds the system, not the person who runs it. Okay, I want to do a quick maths problem with you. Don't worry, it's easy. A business makes £500,000 or dollars, wherever you are, in a year. The next year, they work really hard, land more clients, and they hit 750,000. That's 50% more revenue. That's amazing, right? That's the dream. But then the owner sits down at the end of the year, looks at the numbers properly, and their actual profit, the money they actually keep, is the same as last year, maybe less. How does that happen? How do you make 50% more money and end up in the same place? This is what I call the profit disappearing act. And it's more common than you think. Here's how it usually goes. First, you start saying yes to everything. Every new client wants something slightly different, so you customize. You add a little extra here, a special feature there, an extra hour of support. And every single one of those little extras costs you time and money that you're probably not charging enough for. Then you start buying tools to patch problems. Your team can't communicate properly, so you buy a project management app, then a separate invoicing tool, then a scheduling thing, then something for contracts. Before you know it, you've got 12 different software subscriptions going out every month, and half your team is barely using most of them. And then you bring on more people without a clear process for how work actually gets done. More staff sounds like it means more output, but without a clear system, more people just means more confusion, more mistakes, and honestly, more of your time spent managing the chaos. So your revenue goes up 50%, but so do your costs and your profit, same as it was. You took on way more risk, way more stress, worked twice as hard for literally the same result. And here's the really brutal part. This isn't bad luck. This isn't a rough patch. This is what happens when you try to grow a broken system. You don't fix the problems. You just make them bigger. Okay, so how do you actually fix this? Like, what do you actually do? 3 things. That's it, 3 things. Simple to understand, not always easy to do, but this is what actually works. Fix 1. Stop making everything custom. So there's a web design agency, let's call them Bright Pixel. And for their first 2 years, they said yes to everything. Every client got a completely unique website, a custom quote, a custom timeline. And they were good at it. Their work was brilliant. But when they tried to grow, it fell apart because every single new client needed loads of time from the founder just to figure out what they were even building. You can't hand that off. You can't train someone to do it. There's no process. It's just vibes and expertise and improvisation. So they made a change. They built 3 packages: a starter site, a business site, a premium site, fixed price, fixed timeline, clear list of exactly what's included and what's not. If a client wanted something outside that, they said no, politely, but no. And at first, that felt terrifying. Saying no to money always does. But something shifted. Projects got done faster. The team could handle more work without the founder hovering. Profit per project went up. And clients, weirdly, found it easier to buy because they didn't have to figure everything out from scratch. That's what it means to productize your service. You take the thing you're brilliant at and you turn it into a repeatable process. Not every client gets something completely bespoke. They get your proven system. And that system can be taught, handed off, and scaled. Fix 2. Get the knowledge out of your head. Remember Sarah? Here's what she eventually did. Every time one of her team members came to her with a question, instead of just answering it and moving on, she wrote the answer down. She created a simple document, called it How We Do Things Here. Just straightforward stuff. What to say to a confused client, how to process a refund, what happens when the tech breaks. After about 3 months, 80% of the questions her team used to ask her, they could now answer themselves just by checking the document. That one document became genuinely one of her most valuable business assets because the knowledge wasn't just locked in her head anymore. It was in the system. Anyone could access it. Anyone could be trained on it. Now, you might have heard the term standard operating procedure or SOP before. Don't let that put you off. It sounds way more corporate than it is. It's literally just a written down version of here's how we do this thing. That's it. Every task your business does on a regular basis should have one. Fix 3. Know your numbers before you spend money on growth. This one is so simple, but honestly, most people skip it entirely. Before you put money into ads, before you hire a marketing agency, before you spend anything on getting new customers, you need to know 2 numbers. Number 1, how much does it cost you to get a new customer? Number 2, how much money does that customer actually bring you? over the whole time they're with you. So if it costs you £200 to get a customer and that customer spends 300 with you in total, you're making £100 per customer. That's okay, but it's tight. There's not much room to grow there. But if it costs you 200 to get a customer and they spend 1,000 with you over time, now we're talking. Now scaling makes sense. Rough rule of thumb, for every pound you spend getting a customer, you want to make back at least 3, ideally 5. If your numbers aren't there yet, that's okay, but that tells you something. Focus on keeping your current customers longer and delivering more value to them first, then scale. So let's come back to Marcus. Remember him? The guy from the beginning who worked 16-hour days and made less money than the year before. 6 months after nearly completely burning out, Marcus made 3 changes. He cut his services down from 8 different offerings to 2. He spent about a month writing down, properly, in detail, exactly how every project should be run. And he made a rule. His team had to check the documented process before they came to him with a question. Within a year, he was working 6 hours a day. His team was solving 90% of problems without him, and his profit had gone up, even though he was taking on fewer clients. He stopped building a cage and started building an actual asset. And look, I'm not going to pretend this stuff is easy. It takes time, it takes discipline. And honestly, letting go of control is genuinely hard when you've built something from nothing. But the businesses that actually scale, it's not because the founders are smarter or more talented. It's because they had the courage to stop doing everything themselves and start building something that could run without them. So here's your one thing to do this week. Just one thing. Think about the task in your business that only you can do. The thing you've never written down, never properly explained to anyone, never handed off. Find that thing. And this week, write down exactly how it's done, step by step. Like you're explaining it to someone who's never done it before. That's it. That's the first brick. If this was useful, honestly, hit subscribe. We do this every week. Plain language, real stuff, no fluff. And drop a comment below. Tell me, what's the one thing in your business right now that only works because you're personally doing it? I genuinely read every comment. So let me know. And there's a free scale readiness checklist down in the description. It's a simple 1-pager to help you spot where your business is leaking time and money before you try to grow. Grab it, go through it. It won't take long. All right, I'll see you in the next one.